don't want to miss what I'm about to reveal.
Studies in mice recently have shown that you can traumatize the grandfather and the trauma, the anxiety, will still show up in the grandson. Even though the grandfather never met the grandson. Not that mice don't have much to do with grandparents anyway. But it's passed on biologically. Not genetically, but biologically. And that's the same with human beings as well. I don't know about healing past generations. People talk about that. The native Indians, Aboriginal people in North America, and I work with them a lot because of my work with addictions and illness, they talk about healing the ancestors ceremonially. When we heal ourselves, we're healing the whole generations, going backwards. I appreciate that thought. I don't really have a way of making sense of it in terms of my own way of thinking. But I know that healing can certainly happen amongst people who are alive and in touch with each other, primarily by everybody getting in touch with themselves. And that's what healing is. And then the word for healing itself comes from the Anglo-Saxon word wholeness, for whole. So healing is wholeness. And that means integrating all the parts of yourself and not having it just what R.D. Lang called the divided self. So that we're actually whole, which we are, but we don't recognize it. So healing is actually recognizing our wholeness. And by the way, when we do, then we realize that nothing was ever broken. And if nothing was ever broken, therefore there was nothing bad that ever happened to us. Because I mean, if it did, if our wholeness was never destroyed, then there was no damage. If there's no damage, then there's no sinners and there's no perpetrators. Well, I think first of all, we have to look at that question both on an individual and on a social level. So it's quite all right for you and I to sit in sunny San Jose at a well-appointed hotel and talk about our sense of victimization in quotation marks. It's quite different being a black sharecropper or uneducated place in some town where there's still racial discrimination and economic inequality and severe police control, as we know is the case over many places in the United States. So there are people who genuinely are victimized, not just by social values, but by social structures. We're all victimized in a sense by social values and cultural dislocation, but some people are specifically and more severely victimized. So we have to make that distinction. Now, how do you stop being a victim? You stop being a victim when you're no longer at the effect of what's being done to you or what has been done to you. So on a social level, for example, in a place called Ferguson, where this young man was killed, and there's been all this social movement against that and people demonstrating and coming together, supporting each other. So they're saying we're not going to be victims anymore. We refuse to be at the effect of how you see me. I'm not going to see myself the way you see me, and I'm not going to behave like you see me. And I will not be intimidated by how you see me. So on that level of social oppression, there has to be a social response. Then there are many people who come from such backgrounds who end up being in jail, and then they somehow participate in a meditation program. And all of a sudden, there's a movie called The Dharma Brothers, which is about a Vipassana meditation program in a southern maximum security prison. And these people, after 10 days, have completely flipped around their view of themselves and of life. They dropped a lot of hostility, rage. They have much more respect for themselves. And nothing about their external circumstances have changed. What changes their perception? So if that's available to people in a maximum security prison under terrible conditions in a southern jail, it's certainly available to the rest of us. It's a question, are we going to avail ourselves of that work and are we going to put ourselves in the presence of teachers that can lead us there? So victimization is not just what happens to us, it's actually how we respond to what happened to us. and to what extent we allow ourselves to be defined by it, by what happened. Yeah, this is a question of devotion and passion versus addiction, and particularly as regards the guru-devotee relationship. So you can never tell from the outside, or at least not superficially, what is addictive behavior and what is simply healthy behavior. You can look at two people jogging in the street. One of them could be jogging because they just find it's beneficial to their health, their better shape, they feel better about themselves, to their health, their better shape, they feel better about themselves. It's a way of releasing energies that have built up. It makes them happier and more connected. Somebody else could be jogging out there at the same pace, at the same time, who's jogging out of addiction. Because for them, the exercise is to escape from themselves, to escape from their personal relationships where they're having difficulties. How do we tell the difference? It's not in the external behavior, it's the internal relationship to it. And so the real question on addiction, and addiction is any behavior that one craves, finds some pleasure or relief in temporarily, but has negative long-term consequences. So when it comes to the guru-devotee relationship, the question is, first of all, are there negative consequences? And if so, can't you, an addiction is an addiction when you can't give it up despite the negative consequences. So in some guru-devotee relationships, there could be a mutual addiction. The or the devotee might need the guru to fill a hole in their life, just as the guru might need the devotee. Because if I'm not a guru, who am I? And I certainly experienced that. Like when I go on speaking trips and I speak to hundreds of people, in cities over a week, I speak to a couple of thousand people, and then I go home and I feel a kind of emptiness. Well, that's my addictive side there. Even though when I was there, I spoke the truth and I helped people and people were inspired and grateful. I get home, I'm irritable and empty. That's because I'm needing that to fill me. And that's an addictive relationship to work that in itself is good. Well, there's a lot of programming, and we're trained very early. And we're trained not even by people who have any ill intentions, but just people who are themselves emotionally defended or suppressed or spiritually blind. And then in order to maintain our parents, or in the case of my children, me. And so we train our kids not so much through our intentions, which are usually really good, but who we are actually able to be in their presence. And then they have to adjust to who we are. They have no choice but to adjust to who we are. So a lot of the training is unconscious. It's done by unconscious people to people who in turn, their turn will be unconscious. So certainly healing has to do with consciousness. And that's why the teachings of Hamid Ali and other pioneers, you might say, it's so crucial. Because it's all about undoing the programming. And Hamid Ali says somewhere that liberation is actually the temporary freeing of the personality from the past. So you can actually be in the present. And, now some people maybe are able to be always in the present. I'm not one of them. But I'm certainly able to be in the present much more than I used to be able to. When I say be present, I mean consciously present. So clearly there's some healing capacity that stays with us and is a part of us, and which allows us to let go of the past, not react the way I was programmed, not be upset what I used to be upset about, not interpret things the way I used to interpret them, but just to look freshly at every moment and see, well, what is actually going on here, without implicit memories and programmed assumptions governing my reactions. But that's the work. The work is to liberate ourselves from the past. I hesitate to talk about those terms because I cannot say that I've consciously had any kind of an enlightenment experience. I know people who've had these direct experiences where it's all energy and they realize that everything is an illusion except the energy and the unity. I know my wife has had such experiences. And that's what I call an alignment experience. I have not had those experiences, so I don't use those words very. I don't want to teach people about something that I cannot be confident that I've had the experience of. So I teach people when I speak about what I have experienced. So enlightenment also could be just the capacity to be in the present moment without assumptions, without imposing interpretations. Well, that I can say, I've had some experience of. But because I certainly don't perceive myself as a spiritual teacher, I don't use those terms very often. It's not my language, and it's not where I lead people.
What if the way you've been trying to heal is based on an illusion? What if real healing doesn't come from fixing who you are, but from reconnecting with who you were before the pain? In this conversation, Dr. Gabor Maté shares a truth most of us never hear. That liberation doesn't come from the outside. It comes from remembering yourself, from peeling away the personality you built to survive, and finally feeling safe enough to just be you.
I remember, though, also listening to you talk about it was a one-word answer, what the opposite of trauma is.
Yeah, and liberation actually means, well, okay, let me sort of talk my way out of this one.
You don't have to. It's
good.
But go ahead.
Connection with oneself. Okay, and that's what liberation actually is. When the personality that we've constructed to cope with our traumatic imprints relaxes its hold on us, and we can be truly ourselves, that's liberation. That's deep connection with ourselves. And that's the answer to trauma.
What you've just explained now, I've read about you, from you. It's rang very deeply for me, because I understand for myself that this is linked to also your beliefs.
Yeah, and especially your unconscious beliefs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So you said in your book, you wrote in the last chapter something that was really powerful for me about the willingness to be disillusioned.
Yeah.
And how empowering that is.
Yeah. Well, I often talk to people who would say to me, I got disillusioned. And I say, congratulations. What are you talking about? Well, would you rather be illusioned or disillusioned? Would you rather believe in fairy tales, or would you rather know reality? Because an illusion is an escape from reality. It's good to be disillusioned in that sense. Even if it hurts, that pain is sacred pain. It'll help you grow. Not a bad thing to be disillusioned. And I mentioned in the book a number of examples in the realm of politics. So I got disillusioned throughout my life, but each time I got disillusioned, I learned something about the real nature of the world. And as to that degree, I became, more liberated. And same thing in our personal lives. It's painful and disappointing to be disillusioned. It's also liberating if you're willing to learn from it.
Do you look forward to being disillusioned about current beliefs now?
I look forward to, naturally, it's in the nature of illusions that you don't know that it's an illusion.
Well said. Well said.
So I don't know what I'm looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to having a deeper understanding and knowledge of truth. And if that means letting go of more illusions, yes.
On that, what is, and I know this is a theme for you in the book, I'm not going to say what chapter, waking up. What is waking up mean to you?
Well, what does being asleep mean to you?
Being comfortable with the illusion.
Yeah, that's what dreams are. No, actually, dreams contain a lot of truth if you know how to understand them.
Sure. Believe
But
that.
But on the surface level, they're just stories, that our mind has made up. So waking up is knowing the truth of the dream.
We had a guest recently, Diana Pasolka. She's a professor of religion in North Carolina. Wrote a book 2017 and is like launched her on the world stage because she spent 6 years like Indiana Jones researching things that the world didn't appreciate, didn't understand, that were being studied by U.S. government and military, and she brought them to light.
Oh yeah.
It's called American Cosmic, her book. And we talked about creativity. So she likes to talk about creativity. She also lectures on creativity. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because in the writing of your book, you said that you were in Costa Rica at one point writing. You said to her that the words came rushing to you when you're in Costa Rica. What does that mean when they come rushing to you?
Do you know who Nijinsky was?
No.
Okay. Well, he was a great ballet dancer, a Russian ballet dancer, died about 100 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the Nureyev and Baryshnikov of his day. He was one of these luminous dancers who could perform the impossible. And he was once asked, how does he do these incredible leaps on stage? And he says, I don't do them, he says. When Nijinsky is there, they cannot happen. We are manifestations of the universe. And the universe is a created and creative entity. And that creativity pours through us. And if we're open to it. And so, literally, I don't always know where my words are going to come from, but they just come. They come through me, But I know that I'm speaking from some place that's beyond me. I'm not being mystical here. I'm saying this is true for all creativity, So the question is, do we open ourselves up? Do we do the work to clear ourselves so that this stuff can come through us? And so when I'm working with somebody, say in a therapeutic sense, I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do 5 minutes later. But I trust that if I can stay present enough, the truth will come through me that'll help them, guide them to their own truth. And the same thing with writing. When it's really happening, it's just happening. It's not so much that I'm doing it. It's happening. Now, sometimes I also have to really work at it hard and to, find the right word and so on. But if that's all was to it, if there was only that laborious effort, I would never be a writer. And I would not have written the books that I've written, including this recent one.
Seems like you're in a constant state of creation.
I wouldn't say constant. Sometimes in a state of misery or despair or greed or whatever it is, But yeah, I can get into states of creation as well. It's true.
What do you think your last thoughts might be before you pass?
I don't know. But I don't give those things thoughts. But I know what I want to be able to think. It's that I've done what I could. And that I was who I was, And that my children will know how much they were loved, despite all the pain I may have caused them, I hope I'll be able to be really grateful